Hello, my name is Natasha Mendez, and this is going to be a qualitative critique and review of an article entitled Online Fathering, the Experience of First-Time Fatherhood in Combat Deployed Troops by Kathleen Shackman, 2010, in the Nursing Research. Okay, question number 1. Is the problem clearly stated, and is it significant to nursing or health care? The father's presence during childbirth is thought to impact not only maternal outcomes such as labor processes and satisfaction, but also family well-being and development of favorable father-child relationships. Although important insight into the father's perspectives of childbirth has been demonstrated, the perspective of men who are absent during this important event remains unknown. Members of the military are separated from their families frequently, and often these critical life transitions occur during their absence. Furthermore, for many military members, the childbirth may occur in the context of the combat deployment. According to Coughlin, 2007, the research problem is presented in the introduction of the study and broadly stated to tell the reader that it's being studied. Shackman did a nice job of presenting the research problem in the introduction, as well as stating it broadly so that the reader would know that the study is being about. Additionally, the author was able to state the significance of the study and relating it to nursing and healthcare by stating the effects of the study it has on fathers psychologically and the birthing mother in their hospital without their spouses. Question number 2. Is the purpose clearly stated? The purpose of the study was clearly stated. It was explored the lived experiences of first-time fatherhoods from their unique perspectives of military men who were deployed in combat regions during childbirth. According to Coughlin, the researchers should explain the significance of the study and how it would add to the body of information on this phenomenon, and also justify why a qualitative approach was best for this study. Shackman did a nice job of explaining the significance of the study and how it would add to the information on this phenomenon. However, the author did not specify why the study was best done as a qualitative study, which was also a recommendation. Question number 3. Is the research question stated broadly for a qualitative study? Shackman did not state a specific research question. However, according to Pollock and Beck, 2012, in qualitative studies, sometimes the researchers pose refined research questions at the onset, but the focus will delineate more clearly once the study is underway. Question number 4. Is the study design consistent with its qualitative approach? The study was a phenomenological approach. According to Pollock and Beck, in a phenomenological approach, it is concerned with lived experiences of humans. Additionally, in this approach considers what life experiences of people are like and what they mean. So this approach was appropriate because the study did take into account human experiences and their meanings of the life experiences. Question number 5. Are the subjects obtained using the methods consistent with a qualitative methodology? The final sample included 17 men who had recently returned to combat deployment in the Middle East. The duration of the combat employment was 6 to 10 months, and all the men reported the birth of their first child during deployment. According to Coughlin, 2007, the sample size for qualitative studies should be small, specifically for phenological studies. Additionally, Coughlin states that the participants are recruited for their experience to the phenomena. The subjects for this study were appropriate for the methodologies because they were a small sample size and their experience was appropriate for this study. Next question. Is the setting appropriate for this study? The setting took place in Japan, where the participants were attending a post-deployment briefing. The interviews took place inside the participants' homes. According to Pollock and Beck, the researcher needs to identify an appropriate site where they can require the researchers to engage in anticipatory fieldwork to identify a suitable and information-rich environment for the study. End quote. The study was appropriate for the study because it was overseas where the participants were away from their spouses, they were on active duty, and in the comfort of their own homes while the interviews were being conducted. By the researchers conducting the interviews in the participants' homes, the participants remain more comfortable to continue with the interview to answer open up and discuss more experiences. This is an important part of ethical considerations during the data collection process, according to Coughlin 2007. Next question. Are the data collection methods consistent with the purpose of the qualitative approach? The data collection for the study was open-ended interviews face-to-face in the participant's home. Each participant was asked a single question: what is it like to become a father while deployed overseas in a combat region? Additional questions were asked and other data methods were utilized, including audio taping and field notes. According to Coughlin, interviews were the most common method for data collection in qualitative studies, most frequently face-to-face. Coughlin states that it should be evident how the questions were derived for the interview and linked to the purpose of the study. Schachman clearly stated the main interview question, which was clearly linked to the purpose of the study. Additionally, the method of the data collection of the interview was appropriate for the study, according to Coughlin. Next question. Are the rights of the humans protected? In this study, the participants were voluntary. Each participant signed an informed consent. Pseudonyms were used to protect their identities of the participants. Additionally, the researchers used an institutional review board to oversee the ethical considerations of the participants. Coughlin states institutional review boards are important in research studies because they protect the participants in terms of ethical principles and potential sources of harm. This research study utilized this. Additionally, Coughlin states that all participants have the right to informed consent, while researchers also did this in this study. Lastly, identity of the participants were not revealed to the reader as they were protected by the pseudonyms. Next question. Is the evidence of data saturation provided? The researcher states in the sampling recruitment was continued until saturation was achieved. Coughlin et al. States that researchers will state this when they claim no more information will arise from further sampling. In this study, the researcher did specifically mention that data saturation was reached. Next question. Are the data analysis procedures appropriate for the data type collected for this qualitative method? The interviews were now analyzed using the phonological process of analysis described by Kalalazi, 1978. Basically, this analysis identified 182 phrases and statements. These statements were formulated into meanings and themes and clustered together. Finally, a peer researcher verified their accuracy. Pollock and Beck state that the data analysis that researchers began to identify themes and categories to build a description of the phenomenon. Additionally, Coughlin says this process should be described in detail to the reader so that the reader can judge if the final outcome is rooted in the data. Schachman did a nice job of clearly describing the data analysis procedures, presented a clearly labeled table for the readers to visualize all the data methods, and discussed organizing the data into themes. Question number 11. Is there significant evidence of scientific rigor? The researcher had several examples of rigor in the study. Examples include prolonged engagement of the data, verification with the participant feedback, using extracts from participants, verbatim accounts, and peer debriefing. Reliability was increased by technical accuracy in recording. Last, the process of bracketing was used in researchers to avoid researcher bias. Coughlin states that there are three main types of appraisals for rigor for qualitative studies. And this includes documentation, procedural, and ethical. Ethically, the researchers provided pseudonyms to protect the participants' identities. Informed consent was also obtained with each participant. The researchers demonstrated procedural rigor by precisely listing the data collection steps and the bias that was used to handle. The researchers demonstrated documentation rigor by clearly stating the steps of the research process, concluding with the phenomenon, which was the experience of the participants. Finally, following through to the recommendations and implications, which the researchers only discussed the implications. Question number 12. Are the conclusions and implications appropriate and clearly listed? Schachman stated that the conclusions of the study were the participants viewing missing the birth of their child as a disruption of their primary role as the husband, father, provider, and protector. The men experienced psychological distress and feelings of worry, guilt, loss, and fear. However, the frequent communication the men had with their wives helped relieve some of their distress and restore their role as protector and provider. More conclusions are further discussed. Implications were also included. Coughlin states that the conclusions should be related back to the purpose of the study and discuss whether that was adequately addressed. Schachman did state the conclusions related to the purpose of the study, and the implications for the nursing should also be stated. The researcher discussed how nurses could help the military families based on the findings from the studies. Our suggestions for future research included. Last question. The researchers did not clearly state implications for the future. Coughlin et al. Stated that the researchers should offer implications on how the study's findings may be developed for the future. And that concludes this analysis and critique. The citations for this included the article, Coughlin et al. 2007's Qualitative Review, and our research textbook, Polinick and Beck 2012. Thank you.